everyone, it's Nadia, Jake, Sedona, and Buddy, and our Babu boy is actually outside right now playing around in the yard. Today's gonna be a little bit different because Jake hasn't seen the show that we're going to discuss, which is Sex Life.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen both seasons, and I wanted
All
to...
I know is that you told me I would hate it.
Yeah, that was the first season. The second season is much shorter and a lot different in my point of view. And I wanted to talk to Jake about it and tell him what's going on, but I thought it would be fun to kind of do a storytelling format where I'm telling you about a show that you're watching at the same time telling you guys and talking about it with you guys. So
I'm just wondering what the content of the show must be for you to think. You need to see my reaction just to what it is about.
Well, okay, so let's get into it.
Okay.
So non-spoiler section.
I'm excited. I don't have to do any work here.
The main character is Billy, played by Sarah Shahi. And then we also have a couple of supporting male leads. We have Brad, who's played by Mike Vogel. And then we have another one who plays the husband in the first and second season. He's played by Adam Demos. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the names. I'm doing my best to pronounce it. At first, when I wanted to watch it, it was supposed to be like mainly female writers, and it was supposed to be very like woman empowerment thing, right? And I will say, second season, I do feel like there's a lot more of that. The first season, I was a little frustrated with because I think it like made woman empowerment rhyme with cheating.
I'm wondering because this is like a sexy show. It feels like they're kind of trying to do 50 Shades of Grey.
Well, okay, so I do want to speak on that because I think 50 Shades of Grey is very male focused. That's how I felt. However, in the show, it's very much more so like the coming of age when it comes to our sexual desires.
I feel like I've learned nothing about the show. What is the show about?
Coming of age.
Why are your hands so cold?
Desires.
Okay, coming of age. So it's like about young people.
No, it's about women.
It's about adults?
Women not vocalizing enough of their sexual desires and having that like be something that like societally you're told like you need to accept, like that you need to settle for something different, right? And it's about this woman, like I said, Billy, who is married but realizes that she's not completely fulfilled sexually.
Mm-hmm.
And her battling with what society says and her role, she's a mother of two, and her role to be able to settle with a husband who seems really perfect and honestly is great in all the ways that you can think of, except that she's like very sexually unfulfilled. And so she's battling with herself, with like looking at her past and seeing like when times when she was sexually fulfilled, but then seeing her role as a mother, as a wife, and living in the status quo. I think a lot of women can feel this way where they feel like you need to suppress your sexuality because societally women are trained to be ashamed of what they desire sexually, especially when you're a mother. It's like a certain way you should dress, a certain way you should look, right? You're judged as a mother, you're judged as a wife, you're no longer judged as an individual to a lot of people. So that's basically what she's battling, is societal perspective and expectation of her as a married mother of two and her own initial desire of feeling like she's not having fulfillment sexually. But I also think it's a lot of emotionally, like the way that she wants to talk about it to her husband, Brad, but Brad is not as understanding of that criteria. So like my frustration with season 1 is that all of those things, like those themes, I am fine with, and it would be really interesting to watch. However, the way that they execute it is so frustrating to me in the first season because they execute it in a completely wrong way that I feel like goes against that message. Second season, I felt like was a lot more accountability, a lot more of like, okay, these are the consequences of my actions from season 1. And it was a lot more realistic to me. And it felt a lot like something that I could see a woman doing who is in the same situation as her.
So second season was more realistic regarding what?
Regarding like the way you deal, like if you are not satisfied with a person, there's consequences, right? Like, so for example, you could go to therapy or you could like get separated. She conveys certain message and she executes certain actions that require consequences, no matter if you're the husband or a wife. Like if you ever did that shit to me,
did what shit to you?
I can't tell you until the spoiler section. I would feel like there would be a real life consequence to it.
Okay.
So,
but I still don't understand what I wouldn't like about the show. It sounds like
can I
I'd
wait
like
to tell you until the spoiler section? Because I don't think you like it.
Okay, well, maybe we should get in the spoiler section. What, do you have more stuff to say, non-spoilers?
Well, I just want to say that, like, I would recommend watching it just for the sex scenes.
How was the acting?
And the acting, which was really good.
Okay, how was the directing?
I thought it was well executed overall. I think it's just the writing in first season that lacked greatly. So due to the writing, I would rate it 5 out of 10 for first season. Second season, I would rate it 6.5 out of 10.
Is it better than the morning show?
No, not like the first season was crap.
Oh, okay.
I was like frustrated.
Wait, it's crap. Why are you giving it a 5 out of 10?
Because I like it overall with the way that they came back with the second season.
Okay.
Like, if I were to rate it, like last year when I first watched the first season, I would have rated it 2 out of 10.
Okay.
But I do think, like I said, there's consequences for actions, and they had a really good, like, I think they, like, improved. This is a good show where the writing improved from the first and the second season, in my opinion. So.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so basically the first season, like I stated, she's unfulfilled sexually in her marriage. But what she ends up doing is she ends up writing about her ex-boyfriend in a journal, and her husband ends up finding it. And she has sexual desires for her ex-boyfriend.
Very Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah. You see flashes throughout the season where he was an ass. So it's like, it made sense in the beginning in somewhat way, because they portray it as, oh man, Brad was, such a great guy. He was fulfilling her sexually. They have a real nice chemistry and romance. But then as the season goes on with the flashback, you realize he said some shitty ass things to her, and her husband, meanwhile, Cooper, is portrayed as like a flawless guy. And so it seems like the only reason she wants to go back is because of sex, but it's like she can't, then you realize it's not just sex. She doesn't match up with Cooper in many ways. It's just, you realize that more in the second season than first.
It's like self-sabotage.
Yeah, it's like very much self-sabotage. So at the same time, her ex-boyfriend reaches out to her. She finds out that her best friend is sleeping with her ex-boyfriend. And there's a really one bizarre scene where she calls her best friend, and her ex-boyfriend FaceTimes her, puts the camera on a shelf or whatever, and lets her watch him have sex with her best friend.
That's
and
normal.
She's turned on by it while she's watching. She's like, and then she literally...
Sounds like I would love this
It's like
show.
Masturbating to her best friend having sex with her ex-boyfriend that she wants to get back to. And that whole scene was really bizarre to me, because I'm like, if you're really desiring, and in the second season, they fall in love and they actually end up getting married at the end of second season.
Who?
So Billy and Brad, the
Her
ex-boyfriend.
ex?
Yeah.
So she divorces her husband?
Yes. In the first episode of the second season. I don't know how you get turned on by that, but maybe that's just me being judgmental.
Sounds like you like it. You enjoy the show.
I enjoy it. It is goofy. But anyway, Cooper ends up giving her so many chances, but this is where I have a problem. She keeps putting it as her sexual desire, and then she's not fulfilled, and her lack of understanding, but her husband is trying to do everything he can to fulfill her. The conclusion that I came up to is that she just doesn't want to be she's not in love with Cooper anymore. She realizes he's not her person. The more and more she interacts with her ex-boyfriend Brad, it's more clear that she doesn't want to be with him. I would love for, I just was really frustrated at her saying, and she was narrating the whole time in the first season and second season, but the first season she goes, women are made to desire not what they want, and that, but I want to go after, I'm just summarizing, this is not exactly what she says, but I want to go after what I want. So when she emotionally cheats on her husband and he takes her back, 6 months later, she goes back to Brad, says nothing's gonna change. I'm not gonna leave my husband, now FB. And I'm like, okay, so she literally correlated
But then she does
female.
leave her husband.
Huh?
Then she does leave her husband.
This is the first season, the
okay.
season finale of the first season. And it took 2 years to make the second season. What I'm thinking about the first season is, okay, so she just correlated female freedom to cheating, which is not like true. That was problematic in many ways, and that's why I would rate the first season by itself 2 out of 10, because it was really frustrating to me. Like, yes, women are made to feel like they shouldn't do XYZ. Women are put in category, but I don't want that to be correlated with cheating, or it's boxing us, right? When it's trying to, like, in the surface it looks like it's trying to free women's thoughts. But second season, however, it turns out like Cooper finds out that she did go to Brad. Brad rejects her and tells her that, like, okay, I proposed to you the first season. You rejected me for your family, but now I got a girl pregnant and I want to stay with that woman and be a father. I proposed to you 6 months ago. You rejected me. Now I got a woman pregnant in the last 6 months and I want to stay with her and be a father and be the person that you wanted me to be, just with someone else, basically. She is sad about him rejecting her. She goes back to her husband. And then this is like kind of like annoying. He finds out, because he had a tracker in her phone, that like she went to Brad. He's like, I want a divorce. He doesn't give her any choice. She's like, well, what about counseling and everything? And that was really annoying to start with, because I'm like, you don't want to be with Cooper, your husband. So why are you like, you want to be with Brad, just like divorce him. But that's when I start to like the second season, because when she does go through divorce, we have like a time lapse and you see the messiness of divorce. You see the messiness of trying to find your independence, and she dates other people. Brad ends up like being a father, but then they like are basically, they love each other. They just aren't with each other this time in the second season. The first time was because of her family. Second season, she's divorced, but it's because Brad got another woman pregnant and wants to marry that woman, and does end up marrying that woman. However, Brad's wife also realizes like, oh no, you want your ex-girlfriend Billy, so she leaves him. And at the end of the second season, Brad and Billy end up marrying and getting together. And they end up like being seeming like they're happy.
Do you think there will be a third?
There has been talks about a third. It was number 6 out of 10 last night. Which is 2 days before this review comes out. And so, I mean, it seems like it's popular. I was really surprised that second season was being done, because the first season I thought was so horrible that I'm like, there's no freaking way. This has to be a limited series. But the second season, I think, is just like more realistic of like the struggles of finding people who accept you for who you are, and also trying to struggle with the status quo. And I think it's a more of an accurate representation of womanhood, than the first season. It's more of an accurate representation of accepting yourself, and then also being brave enough to go outside of yourself. Whereas like the first season, it just seemed like, it's like you could see, like I said, flashbacks where Brad emotionally abused her. Whereas Cooper, her ex-husband after second season, is like really there for her emotionally and everything else. And it's like, it just felt very stereotypical, like, oh, I want that bad boy, and I want him to change. Oh, maybe he's changed for me now that I'm married and with like someone else, and it's just felt like it did such a disservice. Second season, I think you also see Cooper, the ex-husband, really going through the emotional trauma of divorce, feeling like he wasn't enough, and also making mistakes himself, because in the first season he was portrayed like a perfect husband. Second season, you see like he has flaws, although he has it with other people, because he's trying to deal with, he's mourning his relationship. He realizes that love of his life is not, she doesn't view him as the love of his life. Like, he was basically a replacement to fulfill an emotional something. So
why did she break up with the original boyfriend in the first place?
Oh, he basically said, F you. She ended up having a miscarriage. She was pregnant with the ex-boyfriend.
Do we learn this all through flashback?
Yeah.
Okay.
She ends up having a miscarriage, and he was like, and then something happens with him, and she's like, she's trying to emotionally support him. He goes, F you, I don't need you, get out. And he kicks her out of the apartment, literally leaves her stranded. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is the guy you want back? WTF.
I guess the sex was good.
And it's like, it didn't, yeah, that's the only thing that was good. And it's like, it's like you're trying to go after women empowerment, but yet you're showing like a person who's codependent and has some emotional trauma. One more thing that I forgot to mention, she's supposed to be a psychologist or like a PhD candidate for psychology. She ends up getting back into it in the first season. It's like, this is like the worst therapist. I really hope that you have no client, because the way you're going about your life and the way you are portraying something as woman empowerment is completely opposite in the first season. I think second season does a lot more of that. But like I said, I gave it a larger score because I do feel like second season, like the writers actually did the research about reception of the first season and actually looked at the problems that it had, did a lot of damage control, which I appreciate, you know. And first season, it seemed like there was no consequences for her actions really with Billy. Second season, it felt like there was a lot more consequences.
Sounds to me like the first season was kind of a runaway hit. They weren't expecting their sleazy TV show to get such a critical kind of look.
I don't
maybe
know.
They're like, well, we better kind of class this up a little bit and put a little bit more
well, I think like they were looking at
respectability
it.
here.
I think their goal of the themes and stuff that they want to tackle was correct. I think, like I said, something happened with the execution where I don't know if it was the editing. Like I said, Billy narrates a lot of her story. Her story is really like effed, you know, in the first season. So with the spoilers and everything, I'm interested. Would you want to watch this?
Yeah.
You really would? Because I feel like you just wouldn't want to watch it. Come on, be honest. I know you. You would maybe watch the first. Okay, here's what I think. You would want to watch it for the sex.
No.
But then you would be so over the storyline after the first season.
I don't care at all about watching it for the sex. The thing is, the things you're telling me, like the plot and stuff, it sounds to me like that could be good if it's executed a certain way. I mean, anything can be good if it's executed a certain way. I'd have to watch it and go like, to me, what makes me stop watching a TV show if it feels like it's dragging on? How's the pace?
The pace of it overall is like the first season drags on,
I probably
making the
wouldn't like
same
it
mistake
then.
back and forth. Second season, it's only 6 episodes versus the first season, which I think, I forget how many episodes, but a lot more episodes. It's to the point.
It might be one of those shows where I enjoy it with a glass of whiskey or something, you know?
That basically means that he wouldn't enjoy it, guys.
It might be fun.
Okay, let's watch the first episode of the first season.
We will report back.
And then he can comment and say, I liked it, or whatever.
Oh boy.
That is this review. Let us know your thoughts. And also let us know if you like the formatting of like storytelling, because there's a lot of things that Jake has watched that I haven't, that I don't know if I want to watch, but I want to hear about it. So we're gonna do Scream, so that's coming out this weekend. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.